What is up, my dudes? This is Trent with the Fantasy Football Dudes podcast. Today's episode, we have our Divisional Round Underdog plays. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Underdog. Head over to YouTube right now at TFF Dudes. You'll see me wearing my nice yellow Underdog shirt. I kind of look like a minion, I feel like. I don't know. So here we go. Underdog Fantasy, guys. Enter promo code DUDES. They'll match you up to $1,000. I am joined by Jordan. Jordan, I might do things a little different this week. You know, normally we only put this on YouTube. I might throw this out on the podcast just to give the people a tease to know what they're missing on YouTube. You know what I mean? We don't do that every week. Maybe just a little teaser here. Maybe make them go there. And as well, the video will be on Spotify as well, guys. So new little deal we got going on over there as well. Jordan, are you ready to dive into this? We only got a couple weeks left. You feeling pretty good? You know, Mahomes is back. I know that always gets you gassed up, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, we got the Chiefs on the slate this week. They got the bye, so yeah, I'm excited, man. We got 3 weeks left of football. Like, that's kind of crazy. Like, yeah, we got college game on the Monday, and then we have 3 weeks left. Like, that's kind of crazy thing about, like, there's this weekend, championship weekend, Super Bowl, and we're done. Like, there's no football for 6 months, 7 months. So I'm excited. Let's try to finish strong, you know. It was kind of a weird week last week. I thought, like, we were close on stuff, but we didn't get there, and that was a little frustrating. So, yeah, let's have a good week this week.
Yeah. So I had a lot of plays hit. I did not cash all of them. I was positive on the week. So if you messed around with most of my plays, they actually were pretty good. I didn't keep track of yours, Jordan. I did have a positive week, and if you maybe didn't get as risky as I did, maybe you cash out there, I'll say. So I actually thought for the most part, were we pretty like, do you think we were like a 65, 70% hit rate on all of our picks? Or that's how I felt on mine.
Go back. I thought I was.
It wasn't really a disaster, Jordan.
Yeah, I think you were better than I was. Like Jaden Daniels didn't get there on his rushing yards for me, which was tough. Like, he was close. Like the Bo Nix, I think his yards got there, but his attempts didn't get there. Okay. So it was just a lot of like different stuff. Like Bateman, like game script just killed me. Like the Ravens got up so much that like that really hurt. So there's just a couple different things that hurt me.
Yeah, and actually, Jordan, I kind of piggybacked off of your play with the Bo Nix. I did it later, though. I ended up going back on Saturday, and the attempts, I think, was higher than what you had it at. So I actually did rushing yards, and it did hit.
Yeah.
So it was, the yards play was there. But let's dive into this, Jordan. We got a couple plays here. We're actually going to start this off with you. You're going to have the first play here. Then we'll go to me. We'll go back and forth like kind of what we always do. At the end, I have Jordan, I got crazy this week, and you're going to have to wait till the end for it. I maxed out my Underdog, X. I went up to 200%. 200 times my play. Cow. 200 times it. It's not as crazy as you think. Unlikely, yes. But I have it with 4 players, so it's wild. So I did 200 exits. So I believe you're at 108. That'll be at the end. So Jordan, with your first play here, buddy, you want to take it from here?
Yeah. I got Lamar Jackson. I think this might be like my favorite play of the 4 I have. So, Lamar Jackson over 8.5 rushing attempts. He's gone over this in 7 of his 8 career playoff games. If you watched last week's game, like, he was running early and often in that game. It looks like he just wants to kind of take off and go. This is going to be such a good matchup. Like, I think the Bills defense sells out to stop Derrick Henry, makes Lamar throw the ball. Well, in general, logically, that makes him having to draw back. He's going to take off. So I think he takes off a lot. Plus, you have some upside with the QB sneaks here, on the rushing attempt. So I think between his scrambles, the read option, the design runs, I just really like this one. I know they do the QB sneak with Andrews, but around the goal line, it'll be Lamar. So, yeah, I think he gets this. He's just looking to run a lot right now. So I like the Lamar. And so I really did like his yards. I think they dropped it at 48.5 is what I saw it initially, and it was under 50. I think it's up in the low 50s now. So, like, I like the yards still because, to be honest, I think he runs wild in this game. But I just like the attempts at this point a little bit more than the yards. I think the yards are fine, too. Like, if this were to go, like, 9.5 and it would have to be 10 attempts, then I think I'd go the yards over the 10 attempts.
Yeah, well, with the snow, that helps, right? Or what is it? It's below, I can't remember exactly. It's below 35 degrees, though, in this game. Nose Flowers.
It's gonna be an ugly game.
Yeah, it's going to be an ugly game. So I think this plays into that, Jordan. So I don't disagree with your play here at all. So, throwing it over to me here, I have Jaden Daniels, copying your pick a little bit here. Detroit, I'm thinking this will be a high-scoring game. Maybe it ends up being, it's hard to say garbage time in a playoff game, but I think Jaden Daniels over 1.5 passing TDs. I think that it's going to be a track meet. They're going to have to score points. So I have Jaden Daniels here with over 1.5 TDs to keep up with that high-powered Detroit passing offense. And I also, to get later into it, I have a play later in this with Terry McLaurin that we'll get to that later, but I think Terry McLaurin is going to be involved as well. Jordan didn't go with the rushing attempts. I know the touchdowns are a little bit more risky, and the Lions, I think they're just under 1 passing TD per game, but I think Daniels lays it all out there, and they have to. He's going to have to put some points up. This Lions offense is going to score points, and I think Daniels gets some TDs there as well. Hopefully it's not, a rushing one, but I like Daniels to throw two TD passes in this game. So throwing it over to yours, Jordan, you kind of have like an old faithful here that people might be a little bit worried about this one, just because of how the whole season's gone. So,
yeah, I got Travis Kelce, the over 52.5 receiving yards. I didn't check to see if it's still at that number. I would assume that it is. I would assume that it hasn't gone up a ton. But the reason why I like this, yeah, he's still 52.5. Sorry. The last time Travis Kelce didn't go over this number in a playoff game was 2019. He's played in a lot of playoff games since 2019.
Pre-COVID.
I think Mahomes goes back to him in the playoffs. Like, I think there's a lot of merit to, like, they were kind of saving him. They didn't want a lot of wear and tear on his body. I think Kelce's trending towards the end of his career. Like, he's on the downslide, but I think that he has another playoff run in him. And this number is so low for Travis Kelce in the playoffs. Like, it's kind of crazy. And so I'm willing to just kind of like, this is a low number. Like, I think Mahomes relies on him in the playoffs like he always has. So I'm willing to see it. And this Houston secondary is nothing like special. So, like, I'm willing to, like, okay, like, this number's low. I think he gets it. Let's just find out.
Yeah. 41.5 total right now. Texans, they're kind of a weird team here, but I think this is a good get-right spot to get him ready for future playoff games and stuff like that. No, I don't have the Texans winning this game. I mean, and it takes me to a pick later, but what?
Like, Trent, like, you should look at his yards in the playoffs the last, like, 4 years.
Oh,
like,
it's like, crazy. He
hasn't had below 70. He hasn't had below 70 yards in a game. Like, he's consistently over 70, 80, into the hundreds, like, a lot of games. Like, this number is crazy, crazy low for Travis Kelce in a playoff game. Like, last year, he was in the hundreds, like, in a lot of games. So, like, are you telling me that 1 year later he's that washed? And he plays a position where I think you can, like, the lifespan, like, you don't get washed as fast, if that makes sense. Like, you can kind of just run routes in the middle of the field and fall down, catch the ball and fall down. Like, and if Kelce's just going to get I think if he gets the targets, he gets his number.
Do you think that do we have Marquise Hollywood Brown playing this week? Is that something maybe
he should be? Why,
okay.
Is there a reason he wouldn't play?
No. Is maybe that's why? Is it just because of how bad he's been all season, or why do you? I would have thought this would have been in the 70s just off of playoff performances. Is all I'm saying.
Well,
it does seem low.
In his last 5 games, he's had over 50 yards.
Mm-hmm. It's a good line,
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Next here, remember, guys, go over to Underdog, enter promo code DUDES, match up to $1,000. Have some fun here for the playoffs. Going over to my pick here, I have Derrick Henry going back to the Buffalo game in the little snow blizzard. I got Derrick Henry over 0.5 rushing or receiving touchdowns. I just think he gets one touchdown here. This is, a little shout out to Seth here. This has been one of his favorite plays the whole entire season. Seth always goes back to this. I think this is a good one. It's not a high multiplier, but it seems safe to have Derrick Henry scoring a TD this week against a Bills defense that struggled against running backs, guys. So I think this is a good spot for Derrick Henry to continue that, get a touchdown this game. I think they're going to lean on him heavily in this game. But yeah, Jordan, you want to go back to Detroit with the play you have here?
Yeah, I got Jameson Williams over 53.5 is what I got. I should double check this earlier. Let me look at it real quick. He is still at 55.5, so it's gone up a little bit. It is getting in that range where it's a little bit high, but I think it's fine. And if you want to alt it down to 49.5, you're not losing that much on the multiplier. So I think that's fine as well. But it's a great matchup for Jameson. His total, you said, is up in the 50. I think it's 55.5 was when I looked. It might have gone down a little bit since then, but it's pretty high for a playoff game. And so super high total. I think Jameson's gone over this in 3 of his last 5 games. Seems just like a great spot for him. It seems like a spot where he could house one, in the dome against a pretty beatable Washington secondary. Lattimore's really bad. I don't know who Lattimore is going to cover, but he was awful in that Tampa Bay game.
Yeah.
He looks
He's
like
a little
guy
hurt
who's
too.
on the downside of his career, maybe a little bit. And so I just think it's a good matchup for Jameson. I think he could house one in this game. So I like the over 53.5, 55.5 if you want to go down there. Yeah. Or if you want to alt that down to 50 or play the 55.5. I think Jameson has a big game in this one.
Yeah. And anytime I see a Jameson Williams rushing prop, I always want to hit that one too. I always want to take the higher on that. It's a little high though, isn't it?
Well, it's
was it over a half?
The rushing prop.
It usually takes just one. I thought I saw him on there. Xavier Worthy was 2.5 rushing yards. So I was like, they must be thinking he's for sure going to get a carry. But a lot of time,
it's a half. It is a half, Trent.
I don't hate that one for that multiplier.
He gets one a game though, and sometimes he always rushes for a loss. So it's you're getting one. You better hope that the one goes for yards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, absolutely. So next here with what I got here, remember to give me a follow, guys, on X at TFF. Dudes, this is one that always hurts me, but I got to keep going with it. I'm going to go back to the well here, guys. I have CJ Stroud going lower, under 1.5 passing touchdowns. Chiefs defense is pretty good. Road game for, young quarterback that's been struggling this year. He hasn't struggled, he didn't struggle last year, but the total here is, where's the total on this game? The total is 41.5. The Texans are projected to score 16.5 points. Maybe he gets 2 touchdowns. I know Joe Mixon's struggling with an ankle injury right now, but I did this one last week and this one hit. I'm going to keep going against CJ Stroud under 1.5 passing TDs because, maybe they get tackled at the 1 yard line. It's just Joe Mixon territory. Tough Chiefs defense and just how CJ Stroud's played this whole season. I'm willing to keep taking the under on the passing touchdowns here as well. I know this isn't a huge under show, but Jordan, did you have Terry McLaurin? I was the one who had Terry McLaurin, correct?
You had Terry McLaurin.
Yeah. Going back to Terry McLaurin, I got him over 68.5 receiving yards. I believe I juiced this up a little bit as well. But, with pairing him up with Jaden Daniels in a game, a high score game versus Detroit in a dome, a lot of bad weather games this week, at least cold games this week. But I like Terry McLaurin paired up there with Jaden Daniels. Jordan, you have an interesting one here. It's not a high, you got a running back here in the Eagles game. I'll throw it over to you here.
But it's not Saquon Barkley. That is not
Saquon
the running
Barkley.
back I have.
I know.
So I got Kenneth Gainwell over 9.5 rushing yards, and he's went over in 10 of the last 13 games. He's went over this number. With Hurts kind of either hurt or just not really looking confident throwing the football. The Eagles, man, they're just running the ball. They're running the ball. And so he gets carries. In his last 5 games, he's had 3 attempts. He's at least 3 attempts in those last 5 games. And so I just think that he's going to get carries. And anytime Saquon breaks up a long run, Gainwell comes in the game because they give Saquon a break. So I think there's some upside there. It's 9.5 rushing yards. And again, like, I think this is a game that when they get up, they just want to run the football. And so I just like the number. It's hit quite a lot this year. And again, they trust him. So he's in the game. He plays. He's in the game. They trust him. He'll get some carries. You need about 3.5 yards a carry, and he gets this number. So I like it. It's low, especially for like his usage. And like if Saquon ever does, like, so something were to happen to Saquon, he's like a lock to hit this, you know? So there's a little built in, but I think he's fine either way.
Yeah. Side note, Matt Stafford struggles in the cold. You know, I know the Rams have been playing good. I believe I picked the Rams to win this game in an upset. Matt Stafford historically does not play well in the cold. If he doesn't play well in the cold, maybe the Eagles get up a little bit and, you know, they save Saquon and you get some, you know, garbage time rushing attempts with Kenneth Gainwell that hit. So just, you know, Stafford in cold weather games has not been great historically. Going over to me here, I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, absolute target hog. I have him over 6.5 receptions in this game. I'm just really hoping for points here in this Lions-Commanders game where I'm hoping that it's just bombs away, right? The total is 55.5. The Lions are, you know, right now their line's 33.5. The Commanders are 22.5. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is involved and gets a lot of targets here, and I think he catches them too. They kind of get him involved. So I think he's to be pumped up for this playoff game. They get him going early and often. Other plays, that's our last play, Jordan. So all your plays, you know, we went through there. They can go back, rewind them. And you want to get into these, you know, big whammies we have here, you know.
Yeah, these are some flyers, you know.
Flyers, yeah. But, Grandma needs a new pair of shoes, basically, right? So going for this here, Jordan, you want to read yours there, what you have?
Yeah, so I got Lamar Jackson over 8.5 rushing attempts. I got Jahmyr Gibbs over 83.5 rushing yards. I liked him in this spot against Washington. Xavier Worthy over 4.5 receptions. Travis Kelce over 52.5 receiving yards. I got Puka over 7.5 receptions. I think they just could rely on him a little bit in that game. Jameson over 53.5 receiving yards. And I got my Gainwell play over 9.5 rushing yards. And then I also went with Terry McLaurin. I went with the receptions over the yards, but I think they're both good.
All right. And then I have Jaden Daniels again, over 2.5 passing TDs. I have Alex, is it Anzalone, Jordan? Is that how you say it?
Anzalone, I think, yeah.
Yeah, Anzalone getting 1 sack in the game, so I'm hoping Jaden Daniels runs around. Anzalone gets a sack there. That was the big multiplier. I also have Brock Wright catching a TD. So it line's 0.5, and I have Josh Allen rushing for more than 39.5 rushing yards, and that 200x's your money there. So Alex Anzalone and Brock Wright, if you guys want to get on the ride with me on those two plays and mix them up with someone else, those were the highest multipliers I saw. That made a little bit of sense to me. I could just, if the Lions go crazy, I wouldn't be surprised if Brock Wright caught a TD. And if you want to get real crazy, throw Sam Laporta in there. This is not smart, but this is just if you want to go for a high multiplier and, maybe get some big cash, maybe get a house payment, under your belt, something like that. But Josh Allen is a totally different animal in the playoffs. He is 9-1 in playoff games that are under 32 degrees. 33 degrees, I believe, is what I read earlier, and he always runs for way more yards in these playoff games. So I like his rushing line here. But, that is definitely a wild play there, Jordan. So I don't...
Trent, I have a curious, since we're talking about... Your Brock Wright one is definitely a little wild.
Oh, it's wild. It's wild.
He does play 41% snaps. I was looking at it right now. He plays... So he's on the field, and you never know at those tight ends. I have
especially
a wild one, Trent.
Okay.
Can we even do this? Let's just play with something on air here while we're going. I'm going to pull up Jaden Daniels. What's the highest rushing yards? I'm going to go 100 rushing yards for Jaden Daniels. This is a QB rushing prop. And then the Buffalo game, Lamar, 100 yards rushing. Again, this is super unlikely. And then what's the most it will allow?
Josh Allen?
We'll go 90.
Okay.
Any guesses on what that comes to?
Is that a 100x?
150x.
150x. So my X is higher than what your X was right there. And yours
actually,
people are probably listening think yours more realistic maybe.
I think mine's more realistic. Like, I think neither of them are very realistic, but like Jaden Daniels 99 100 plus, Lamar 100 plus, Josh Allen 90 plus. Let's be a little more realistic. What if we did like Josh Allen 50 plus? Okay, 50 plus.
I'd just throw them all at 50, Jordan. Put them all at 50 rushing yards. Can you do that?
Let's do 60 for Lamar. Let's do 60 for Lamar. And let's do 60 for Jaden. That comes like a 8.5.
Mm-hmm. 8.5?
That's not bad. Like,
no, it's not.
60 for Jaden, 60 for Lamar, 50 for Josh Allen. I'm going to throw a little bit on that right now.
Okay.
So
perfect. All right. Well, that does it, guys. We'll be back on Tuesday after the national championship. So we'll have the rest of the gang here. Maybe Seth will be back, with his, all that stuff. So, we will see you next time. Good luck, guys. Remember promo code DUDES. We will see you next time. And as always, guys, take care.